Secrets don't stay buried forever. Tiana, they told us forget. But my grandmother wrote it all down. Legacy of truth, buried but breathing. Every lie they told, still bleeding. You can silence mouths, you can lock the proof, but you can't outrun the legacy of truth.
The town council chamber smelled like lemon polish and old money. Tiana noticed at the moment she stepped inside, the way history lingered in the air, not as pride, but as control. The long oak table at the center of the room had been refinished countless times, yet the scratches beneath the varnish still showed through, like scars someone never bothered to heal. This was where decisions were made, and where truths were buried. The elders sat already assembled, 7 of them, all over 60, all white, all watching her. Sheriff Harold Boone leaned against the back wall, arms folded, silent but present, exactly where power liked to stand when it wanted deniability. "You asked for this meeting," said Edgar Wickham, the oldest of them, his voice thin but commanding. "We agreed out of respect for your grandmother." Tiana didn't sit. "I'm not here for respect," she said. "I'm here for answers." A murmur rippled across the table. "You're grieving," another elder said gently. "That can make people imagine things." Tiana placed a cassette tape on the table. The sound it made, plastic against wood, was sharp enough to silence them all. "This tape," she said, "contains a speech by Isaiah Cole, recorded weeks before he disappeared. You told this town he ran. You told his daughter he abandoned her. You erased him." Wickham's eyes darkened. "That man was a troublemaker." "No," Tiana replied. "He was a threat. There's a difference." One of the elders stood suddenly. "Your grandmother understood that sometimes peace requires sacrifice." Tiana felt something crack open inside her. "You mean silence," she said. "You mean complicity." The room tightened. Then Wickham spoke words that would change everything. "Your grandmother helped us close the case." The air left Tiana's lungs. "What?" "She testified," Wickham continued calmly, "against Isaiah, against his associates. She gave credibility to the narrative that kept RollingWood from burning. The betrayal hit like a physical blow." "No," Tiana whispered. "She wouldn't." Wickham folded his hands. "She did what was necessary." Sheriff Boone finally pushed off the wall. "And before you go digging deeper," he said quietly, "you should ask yourself why she waited 50 years to tell you." The question followed Tiana out of the chamber, and for the first time since returning home, doubt crept in. What if Elise Reeves hadn't just protected the truth? What if she had helped bury it? The courthouse had not changed. The same white columns, the same chipped marble steps. Even the clock above the entrance still lagged a few minutes behind real time, as if RollingWood preferred history slightly delayed. Tiana stood across the street, staring at it. This was where the lie had become official. Inside her bag, the cassette tape felt heavier than it should have, like it carried not just sound, but consequence. The elder's words echoed in her head. "Your grandmother helped us close the case." She needed proof, not whispers, not guilt-laced memories. Proof that could stand up to daylight. Inside, the building smelled like old paper and damp stone. A bored clerk glanced up as Tiana approached the records desk. "I'm looking for trial transcripts," Tiana said evenly. "State versus Cole. Late 1967. The clerk hesitated. "Those files were sealed." "Unsealed after 50 years, Tiana replied, "which was last month." A long pause. The clerk sighed and disappeared into the back. Minutes passed. Tiana felt eyes on her. People pretending not to stare. People who knew her grandmother's name. People who already sensed that something buried was trying to breathe again. The clerk returned with a thin box. "This is all that's left," he said quietly. "Some things went missing over the years." Tiana thanked him and carried the box to a reading table beneath a tall window. She opened it. The transcript was incomplete, pages torn, others marked exhibit removed. But enough remained to tell a story. Isaiah Cole had never been tried for a crime. He'd been tried for disruption, accused of inciting unrest, of organizing illegal gatherings, of threatening the town's stability. And then witness, Elise Marie Reeves. Tiana's breath caught. Her grandmother's testimony was summarized, not transcribed verbatim. A deliberate choice. Miss Reeves corroborates law enforcement accounts that Mr. Cole expressed intent to escalate protests beyond peaceful means. That's a lie, Tiana whispered, but the paper didn't care. She flipped further. Based on witness credibility, the court authorizes detainment for questioning. Detainment. No charges. No lawyer. No release record. Isaiah Cole disappeared 3 days later. Tiana leaned back, her chest tight. This wasn't just corruption. This was choreography. The system hadn't failed Isaiah Cole. It had performed exactly as designed. A voice interrupted her thoughts. You shouldn't be reading that. She looked up. Mrs. Dolores Finch, 82 years old, former school board chair, one of the town's so-called keepers of tradition. Why? Tiana asked. Because it makes people uncomfortable. Because it tears open wounds that never healed, Mrs. Finch said softly. This town almost burned itself down back then. Because you were afraid, Tiana replied. Mrs. Finch sat across from her uninvited. Because we were trying to survive. My grandmother testified under oath, Tiana said. Did you threaten her? Mrs. Finch didn't answer right away. Then, we reminded her what happened to families who didn't cooperate. The words were calm. Matter of fact, Tiana's hands curled into fists beneath the table. You ruined lives. We preserved order. No, Tiana said. You preserved power. Mrs. Finch stood. If you keep going, RollingWood will turn on you, just like it did on Isaiah. Then let it, Tiana said. The truth doesn't need permission. That night, Tiana drove past the old courthouse again. A single light glowed inside. Someone was still working, still guarding. At home, she played the cassette for the first time. Isaiah Cole's voice filled the room, clear, steady, unafraid. They can erase my name, but they can't erase what we started. If you're hearing this, it means they failed. Tiana closed her eyes, tears slipping free. Outside, a stone shattered her front window. Wrapped around it was a note. Drop the past or join it. Tiana picked up the cassette, glass crunching beneath her feet. They had chosen their side. So had she. The tape kept spinning long after Isaiah Cole's voice faded into static. Tiana sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the broken window, the night air slipping in like an unwanted witness. The note lay crumpled on the floor. Its message burned into her mind. Drop the past or join it. They think fear still works, she whispered. She was wrong about one thing. Though, fear didn't work the same way anymore. The journals Elise left behind didn't just record events. They recorded hesitation. Tiana opened one she hadn't read yet. Its spine cracked from being opened too many times in the same place. The entry began without a date. They came tonight. Tiana's throat tightened. 3 men, 1 badge, 1 smile, 1 silence that scared me more than the threats. The room seemed to shrink as Tiana read on. They know about my students. They know about my mother. They know where my sister lives. So that was it. Elise Reeves hadn't been weak. She'd been cornered. 1967. RollingWood Elise Reeves sat stiffly at her kitchen table, hands folded, her tea untouched. Sheriff Boone's father stood near the doorway, hat low, shadow cutting across his eyes. You're a respected woman, Miss Reeves, he said. That's why we came to you. You came to threaten me, Elise replied. He smiled. We came to offer protection. For lying? For guiding the narrative. Elise's voice trembled just slightly. Isaiah hasn't hurt anyone. But he might, the sheriff said. And if things turn violent, it'll be on people like you. Teachers, leaders, the ones who encourage him. Elise stood. You're asking me to betray him. The sheriff leaned closer. "We're asking you to choose who survives this town." He placed a manila folder on the table. Inside were photographs. Her mother entering church. Her sister at the grocery store. A classroom photo. Children smiling, unaware. Elisa's knees weakened. "You testify," the sheriff said calmly, "and your family stays safe. And if I don't—" The silence answered for him. Back in the present, Tiana slammed the journal shut, her hands shaking with rage. "They made you choose," she said aloud, "and then they punish him anyway." Elisa's next entry was written days later, jagged, angry. "I lied so they wouldn't kill him. They killed him anyway." Tiana felt the truth settle like a stone in her chest. Her grandmother had betrayed Isaiah Cole. She had tried and failed to save him, and she had spent the rest of her life keeping the evidence alive. The next morning, the town woke up to a headline it hadn't expected. Local woman questions historical disappearance. Town leaders respond they didn't name Tiana. They didn't have to. By noon, the stares had started. Conversation stopped when she entered rooms. Friends of her mother suddenly remembered appointments. By evening, a crowd had gathered outside the Reeves home. Not angry, watchful, waiting to see if she'd back down. Tiana stepped onto the porch. "I'm not accusing this town," she said loudly. "I'm accusing the people who lied in its name." Someone shouted, "Your grandma helped them." Tiana held up a journal. She was threatened, just like you're trying to threaten me now. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. "She kept the truth alive," Tiana continued. "And I will too." A bottle shattered near the steps. Sheriff Boone appeared at the edge of the crowd. "This is getting dangerous," he said. "You should leave town." Tiana met his eyes. So Isaiah didn't have to. The crowd slowly dispersed, but the line had been crossed. That night, Tiana found a note slipped under her door. "Tomorrow, town hall, public records release." They weren't hiding anymore. They were preparing to fight. And Elise Reeves' choice, made decades ago, was about to echo through RollingWood louder than ever before. Town hall had never been so full. Cars lined Main Street, engines idling as if no one wanted to commit to staying or leaving. Folding chairs crowded the chamber floor, and people stood shoulder to shoulder along the walls. Old families sat in the front rows. Younger residents lingered near the back, arms crossed, eyes alert. This wasn't a meeting. It was a reckoning pretending to be one. Tiana entered quietly, carrying a single box. Inside it were copies, photographs of documents, scanned clippings, Elisa's journals transcribed and dated. She could feel the room's temperature shift as heads turned. At the dais, Edgar Wickham cleared his throat. "We're here to correct misinformation," he said, "and to put rumors to rest." Tiana took a seat in the center aisle. Sheriff Boone stood off to the side, hand resting casually on his belt. Wickham continued. The Isaiah Cole matter was investigated thoroughly. No evidence of wrongdoing was ever found. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Tiana stood. "You're right," she said calmly. No evidence was allowed to exist. Wickham stiffened. "Miss Reeves, you authorized the sealing of records that should have been public by law." Tiana continued. "You amended zoning statutes 2 months after Isaiah disappeared. You transferred land ownership from black families displaced by urban renewal to shell trusts tied to your own names." Gasps. Whispers. She placed a document on the overhead projector. A map appeared RollingWood, divided in red ink. "This is the Cole neighborhood," Tiana said, "before 1968. She clicked again. "And this is after." The red blocks vanished, replaced by commercial lots, municipal buildings, and private estates. "This wasn't development," she said. "It was erasure." Mrs. Dolores Finch stood abruptly. "You're twisting history." "No," Tiana replied. "You edited it." She turned to the crowd. "Does anyone here know why RollingWood High was built where it is?" Silence. "Because Isaiah Cole owned the land," Tiana said. "And when he disappeared, the deed was declared unclaimed. That lie became law." The projector flicked again. A signature appeared. "Elise M. Reeves." The room went still. Tiana swallowed hard. My grandmother notarized a transfer, she said, under threat, under coercion. But that signature was used for decades to legitimize theft. Wickham leaned forward, voice sharp. You just admitted your own grandmother's involvement. Yes, Tiana said, and I'm not hiding from it. She turned toward the crowd. She lived with that guilt every day. That's why she documented everything. That's why she never let the truth die. Sheriff Boone stepped forward. This meeting is over. No, a voice called from the back. Elsie stepped into the aisle. My father's voice is on that tape, she said, and I want it played. The room erupted. Wickham pounded his gavel. Absolutely not. Tiana met Boone's gaze. If you stop this, you prove everything I've said. A long, dangerous pause. Then Boone nodded once. Play it. The tape hissed as it began. Isaiah Cole's voice filled the chamber, steady, resolute, alive. They will tell you I left, that I quit, that I chose myself over my people. Don't believe them. People leaned forward. Some cried openly. If I disappear, it will be because speaking became more dangerous than silence. Mrs. Finch collapsed into her chair. Wickham's face drained of color. The tape ended. Silence followed, thick, undeniable. Then someone clapped. One person. Then another. Not applause. Acknowledgement. Wickham stood slowly. This town was saved by hard choices. No, Tiana said. It was poisoned by them. Outside, chant began to rise. Names long buried spoken aloud for the first time. Isaiah Cole. Isaiah Cole. Isaiah Cole. Sheriff Boone's radio crackled. The past had stopped whispering, and the law that grew from a lie was finally starting to crack. The chants outside Town Hall didn't stop when the doors closed. They lingered, pressing against the walls, seeping through the cracks, vibrating in the bones of the building like a reckoning that refused to be escorted out. Inside, the elders had retreated to a side chamber. Tiana followed. This room was smaller, darker. Portraits lined the walls, founders, mayors, benefactors, faces frozen in oil and confidence. She recognized the last names immediately. Wickham, Finch, Boone, Langford. Every portrait here, Tiana said quietly, sits on land taken after 1967. Wickham scoffed. Circumstantial. Tiana opened her box. She laid out a chain of documents, clean copies, time-stamped, cross-referenced. Deeds transfer to trusts, she said. Trust controlled by your children, your grandchildren, still active today. She slid one paper forward. Langford Development Group, Primary Holdings, former coal district. Mrs. Finch's voice cracked. We built schools, hospitals. You built equity, Tiana replied, for yourselves. Sheriff Boone shifted uncomfortably. Tiana turned to him. Your father signed a detainment order. You enforced the peace it bought. Boone's jaw tightened. Careful. No, she said. Truthful. She held up a final document, recent, notarized. This one hurt the most. Tiana said softly, my grandmother's name was used again, last year, to renew a land claim tied to the mill. Wickham froze. That's impossible, he said. Elise Reeves was retired. She was dying, Tiana said, and someone forged her signature. The room erupted, denials, accusations, old alliances cracking under pressure. Outside, a reporter shouted questions through the open windows. Tiana realized then what this really was. Not history. Inheritance. Power passed down, protected, normalized. She felt a hand on her arm. Marcus, I ran the records like you asked, he whispered. It's worse than we thought. The mill land, it's about to be rezoned. Luxury development. Groundbreaking next month. Tiana looked back at the elders. You're still doing it, she said. Still erasing. Still profiting. Wickham stood, voice trembling with rage. You think exposure makes you safe? No, Tiana said. I think it makes me necessary. Sirens wailed outside, not police, but news vans. The truth was leaving the room. And for the first time in 50 years, RollingWood's power structure felt something it hadn't prepared for. Fear. The backlash didn't come all at once. It crept in quietly, polite smiles replaced by closed doors, familiar greetings turning into averted eyes. RollingWood didn't erupt in violence first. It did something far more dangerous. It rewrote the story. By morning, flyers were taped to storefront windows. Outsider stirs up OLD hatred. Don't let one family divide our town, Tiana. Stood across the street from the diner, reading one as Marcus peeled another down. They're moving fast, he muttered. Radio stations too, calling you emotional, unstable, saying grief made you reckless. Tiana exhaled slowly. That's how they survived this long. Character assassination. At home, her mother sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped tightly around a mug she hadn't touched. They came by, she said quietly. 2 men. Said you were putting us in danger. Tiana froze. What did you say? I said you were telling the truth, her mother replied. But they warned me. If this keeps going, they'll start looking at our family history. Tiana knelt beside her. I won't let them hurt you. Her mother met her eyes. They already have. For decades. That afternoon, a local blog published an article titled, Elise Reeves, Hero or Complicit? The comments were vicious. She signed the papers. She helped ruin the town. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Tiana closed her laptop, hands shaking not from doubt, but from clarity. They weren't trying to prove her wrong. They were trying to make the truth unbearable. That night, Marcus burst through the front door. They broke into the salon, he said breathlessly. LC's place. Took the tapes. All of them. Tiana felt something snap inside her. They think without evidence this dies, she said. But it doesn't, Marcus replied, because you already released enough. State investigators are asking questions. A car engine revved outside. Too close. Too deliberate. Marcus grabbed Tiana's arm. You need to leave. Just for a few days. She shook her head. That's what they want. The engine cut. A rock smashed against the porch railing. This one carried a message spray painted in red. Traders bleed first sirens wailed in the distance. Again, too late. Tiana stepped onto the porch. Phone raised, recording. If you want me silent, she said loudly, you're going to have to say why. Shadows moved across the street. Then a voice, old, trembling, but clear. We remember Mrs. Henderson, 93, survivor of the Cole neighborhood. Others stepped forward. Not many, but enough. The town had chosen a side. And it wasn't unanimous anymore. The night RollingWood finally heard Isaiah Cole's voice didn't start in a courthouse, a salon, or a living room. It started on the airwaves. A local radio station, one of the few left independent, had received an anonymous package that morning. Inside, the missing cassette tape, handwritten on the envelope in familiar script. Play this. Let the town listen. Tiana stood with Marcus and Elsie in the small studio, the walls rattling with static as the host prepared to air the tape live. Cameras from local news stations were lined outside the studio windows, shining spotlights that felt like interrogation lamps. This is it, Elsie said quietly. Everything he said. Everyone will hear it now. Tiana nodded, gripping the cassette in her hand. The host pressed play. The tape hissed, then Isaiah's calm, firm voice filled the room. They can erase my name. They can erase my face. But they cannot erase the truth of what we fought for. RollingWood, hear me now. Outside, on the streets of the town, people stopped. Cars halted mid-traffic. Radios blasted from windows and porches. Some covered their ears. Others wept openly. If you are hearing this, know that lies have built this town and corruption has grown like weeds. But truth cannot be buried forever. Stand, RollingWood. Stand, because silence kills. Tiana felt her chest tighten, tears blurring her vision. She looked at Marcus. It's happening. They can't stop it now. The broadcast continued. Names, dates, hidden deeds, all of Isaiah's careful documentation spoken aloud. The town was forced to hear decades of lies, betrayal, and stolen power. Inside the station, a producer whispered, We're getting calls. Hundreds. People want to speak. People are angry. By the time the tape ended, the town outside was in chaos. Some shouted for justice, some cursed the name Isaiah Cole, and some old families and elders who had controlled the narrative for decades realized that the house of cards they had built was cracking. Then, without warning, the first gunshot rang out. It came from the distance, near the courthouse steps. People screamed, scattering. News cameras caught flashes of movement, men in dark jackets moving quickly, brandishing weapons. Tiana ducked instinctively, pulling LC, and Marcus with her behind the counter. "They're trying to stop the truth from spreading," Marcus shouted. "It's now or never, Tiana." Tiana grabbed the microphone from the host's desk. "Everyone stay calm. This is the truth. The town will see what we've uncovered." Another shot rang out. Glass shattered from a nearby window. Tiana's voice didn't waver. Not yet. She realized that the fight her grandmother had started decades ago had reached her doorstep. The echoes of the past were no longer whispers. They were screams. And now, RollingWood had no choice but to face them. The morning sun did little to calm the chaos. RollingWood streets were no longer familiar. Cars were abandoned, doors left ajar, and the once quiet sidewalks were littered with flyers, shattered glass, and scattered belongings. People huddled in doorways, whispering, watching, afraid to be caught in the crossfire. Tiana, Marcus, and Elsie moved cautiously through the chaos toward the Reeves house, carrying photos of evidence and copies of Elisa's journals. "People are scared," Marcus muttered, scanning the street. But scared doesn't mean silent. A sudden shout echoed from behind them. "Over here." It was Mrs. Henderson, 93 years old but sharp-eyed and quick. She motioned them into her small front yard, barricaded with overturned furniture. "They came through here last night," she said, breathless. "Said anyone helping you would pay. Told me they'd burn the house down if they saw you again." Tiana's stomach nodded. "So they know we have the tape. They know we're exposing them." Mrs. Henderson nodded. "And they'll stop at nothing." Just as she spoke, a black SUV screeched to a halt at the corner. Two masked men jumped out, carrying weapons. Chaos erupted. Neighbors screamed, some running, some trying to fight back. Marcus grabbed Tiana and Elsie, pulling them behind a brick wall. Gunshots ricocheted off the pavement. "Stay low," Marcus yelled. "We have to get to the house." Through the confusion, Tiana's mind raced. Her grandmother's warnings, the journals, the tape, they had all led here. This was the cost of truth. A bullet struck near her feet, sending gravel flying. "Move!" she shouted, adrenaline surging. They ran down an alley, darting through shadows and debris. Elsie tripped over a fallen trash can, and Marcus pulled at her feet just as another shot rang out. Finally, they reached the Reeves house. Tiana slammed the door, bolting it behind them, but safety was an illusion. The front windows were shattered. Smoke lingered in the air. The note from the previous night fluttered on the floor. "Traitors bleed first." Tiana pressed her hands against the jagged glass, trembling with rage and fear. "They think fear will stop us," she said. "They're wrong. We have the proof. We have the town listening now. We won't be silenced." Suddenly, a crash from the side room. Marcus rushed in and found Elsie on the floor, clutching her side. Blood seeped through her blouse. "Elsie, no!" Tiana screamed. "I'm..." "Okay," Elsie gasped, wincing. "Just grazed. But we have to. Keep moving. We can't stop." Tiana's vision blurred with tears and determination. "We fight," she said firmly. "For Isaiah, for Grandma, for everyone this town silenced. We fight or nothing changes." Outside, the sounds of sirens were closer now, mingling with the shouts and gunfire. RollingWood itself seemed to vibrate with tension, as if the town had become alive, angry, aware, and dangerous. Tiana knew, in that moment, that the past wasn't just a memory. It was a force, and she was standing directly in its path. The sun had begun to set over RollingWood, painting the streets with bruised oranges and purples, as if the town itself were bruised from decades of secrets. Tiana, Marcus, and Elsie had barricaded themselves in the old mill, the very place Elise had warned her about decades ago. Broken floorboards creaked beneath their feet, dust floating in the fading light. The chaos outside had subsided slightly, but the air remained thick with tension. "We need a plan," Marcus said, his voice low. "We can't just stay here forever." Tiana held up the last of Elise's journals. Her grandmother's handwriting, frantic yet precise, guided them. "There's someone we haven't found yet," Tiana said. "The final witness. The one who can tie everything together. The person Isaiah trusted the most." Elsie winced as she shifted. "You mean someone still alive after all this time?" "Yes," Tiana replied. "Her name? It's Marlene Cole, Isaiah's sister. She's been hidden in plain sight all this time. And if we find her, the truth becomes undeniable." Finding Marlene by nightfall, they tracked Marlene to a small, unassuming house near the outskirts town. Tiana knocked gently. A shadow appeared at the window. A voice, aged but unmistakable. "Who is it?" "Tiana Reeves," she said, "Elise's granddaughter. I need to speak with you. About Isaiah. About RollingWood. About the truth." The door creaked open slowly. Marlene's eyes, sharp despite her years, studied them. "You're brave," she said quietly, "and foolish. They've been watching for decades. And now, you've come looking for me." Tiana stepped forward. "We have proof. We have the tape. We have everything Elise documented. You know the truth. Help us end this now." Marlene hesitated, then nodded. "It's time." Connecting the dots inside, Marlene revealed what Tiana could barely imagine. Isaiah had been silenced to protect the town's elite, not because he had broken the law. Elise had been coerced to testify, to prevent the destruction of her family. The land transfers, the forged signatures, the decades of erased history, all tied back to the same families controlling RollingWood today. Even the current mayor was a descendant of one of the original conspirators. Tiana's hand shook as she wrote down notes, recording every word. "So, every time we've uncovered evidence," Tiana said, her voice tight with anger, "they've been one step ahead, watching, erasing, threatening, killing if necessary." Marlene nodded. "Exactly. But the tape, your grandmother's journals, the community listening, that gives us leverage. That gives you power." For the first time, Tiana felt the weight of possibility. Not just exposure, but justice. Public confrontation looms. The plan was dangerous. Tiana would go public with Marlene at the next town hall meeting, backed by the surviving witnesses and the recordings of Isaiah. RollingWood would finally have no choice but to confront itself. But the threat was clear. The same families who had controlled the town for generations would not give up quietly. "We need everyone," Marcus said. "Neighbors, friends, survivors from Isaiah's neighborhood. People have to be present, visible." Tiana nodded. No one can deny this anymore, and no one can hide. Outside, the first sirens of organized law enforcement arrived, not to suppress the gathering, but to protect it. RollingWood was about to hear the names it had buried for 50 years. Isaiah Cole, Marlene Cole, Elise Reeves. Names that had been whispered in secret would now be shouted in the open, and nothing would ever be the same. The next morning, RollingWood's town hall was unrecognizable. Folding chairs overflowed into the parking lot. Reporters had lined up along the sidewalks. The air smelled of anticipation, sweat, and fear. The town itself seemed to hold its breath. Tiana, Marlene, Marcus, and Elsie stood at the front steps, a folder of evidence in Tiana's hands and the tape in her pocket. The press cameras whirred. Phones recorded. Eyes from every corner of the town were fixed on them. Inside, the city council and descendants of the original conspirators gathered, faces pale, hands trembling. Their secrets were about to be exposed, not in whispers, but in full light. The presentation Tiana took a deep breath. "RollingWood," she began, voice clear, unwavering. "For decades, the history you know has been rewritten. Names erased, lives silenced, land stolen, and all of it was hidden behind promises of order and progress." She pressed play on the tape. Isaiah Cole's voice filled the hall, steady and unwavering. They can erase me, but not the truth. Stunned. Speak. Do not let fear rule you. Gasps. Some cried openly. Some covered their faces in shame. Tiana flipped through photographs, deeds, forged signatures, journal entries, and old newspaper clippings detailing civil rights protests erased from public record. This is evidence, Tiana said, that our town's foundation was built on lies. And today, you must answer for it. Marlene stepped forward. I am Isaiah's sister. I witnessed everything. And I can tell you, what you call order was oppression. What you call progress was theft. And today it ends. The uproar shouts erupted. Some townspeople tried to defend the families. Others condemned them. The crowd outside surged, chanting Isaiah Cole's name. The police struggled to maintain control, not against Tiana, but against those who tried to silence the truth. Sheriff Boone stepped forward, hesitating, torn between protecting the old families and acknowledging the mounting evidence. One of the council members yelled, "You can't prove everything. This is a lie." Tiana slammed a journal on the podium. Every page, every photograph, every tape. Proof, and it will not be hidden anymore. A chair clattered to the floor. Whitcomb, pale and shaking, whispered, "It's over." It was over. For the first time in 50 years. The truth had a voice, and RollingWood had to listen. The cost as a hall descended into chaos. Tiana stepped outside. The sunlight hit her face. RollingWood streets were filled with people. Some cheering, some angry, all awakened. Marcus grabbed her arm. "We did it. The town knows." Tiana shook her head. "The town knows. But that doesn't mean they forgive. That doesn't mean they're safe." Elsie, still recovering from her injury, said quietly, "What now?" Tiana looked at the horizon, at the streets she had played on as a child, now a battleground for truth. Now, she said, we make sure the story stays alive. We protect the witnesses. We hold the town accountable. And we honor Grandma Elise. By finishing what she started, the camera crews recorded her every word. The newspapers would print it. The radio would air it. RollingWood could no longer pretend the past was buried. Tiana had uncovered the truth, but she knew this was only the beginning. The legacy of Elise Reeves and Isaiah Cole would ripple through the town for generations, and Tiana Reeves was ready to fight to see it through.
Rolling wood. Secrets don't stay buried forever. Tiana, they told us forget. But my grandmother wrote it all down. Can't outrun a legacy.